Yes, and yeah, everybody here on Zoom, please go ahead and put your name and location into the chat. I would love to see who's on with me today. And we are live on YouTube now as well. So hello to everybody over there on YouTube. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And if you're watching on YouTube, either live or as the replay, please go ahead and put your name and location into the chat or into the comments there as well. So let's see who's on with us today. Welcome, Ms. Rusty in Cortez, Colorado. Welcome, Barbara in North Carolina. Sarah in Fruitland Park, Florida. Welcome, Mel in the UK. This is a nice treat for the solstice. Yes, yes. Beautiful, powerful week we are in here. Welcome, Janice in New York. Welcome, John in the UK. Welcome, Sue in Pennsylvania. Jesse in Massachusetts. Welcome, Sharon in California. Tina in Massachusetts. Anne in Washington. Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody around the world. Welcome, Gabriella in California. Corina in the Netherlands. Welcome. Hi, Maggie in Salisbury, Maryland. I'm in Easton, Maryland, not far from you, Maggie. Welcome, Melanie in Germany. Welcome, Karen in Glastonbury. Ooh, thank you for bringing in the energy of Glastonbury to our gathering today, Karen. Welcome, Mikey in the Netherlands. Welcome, Lee in Easton. Hi, Lee. I'm very close by to you. Welcome, Wendelin in Toronto. Welcome, Tammy in Rehoboth Beach. Hi, Tammy. Hi, great to see you here. Welcome, Katie in Bend, Oregon. Welcome, Linda in Alberta, Canada. Welcome, Sequoia in California, and so many more. Welcome, everybody. It is a joy to have you here. And welcome to everybody over on YouTube too. Welcome Aza in Brooklyn. Welcome Monica in Mexico City. Welcome Kathy in Illinois and everybody else watching on YouTube. Eleanor in Vancouver Island. Wild Mood Swings 8 in Wisconsin. I love your name. Yeah, amazing. Okay, beautiful. So everybody, we are in a really beautiful time here, a really beautiful week on our planet where all around the world, no matter where you are located in the world, we are celebrating the solstice. Now, this is the winter solstice for the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere is celebrating the summer solstice. And I always find it so interesting as we're globally connected at this time, that those in the northern hemisphere are more likely wearing sweaters and scarves and warm clothes, and those in the southern hemisphere are more likely wearing tank tops and dresses and that kind of thing. It's so interesting, right? How we can be connected and the seasons can be so opposite from one another at this time of year on those different sides of our planet. So really powerful time. Let me share a little bit with you as we begin here just about the solstice, because I want to really, before we go to the astrology, which is kind of the main focus for today, is the astrology of the December solstice and the astrology of New Year 2025 based on the calendar year starting January 1st. We'll get to that very soon, but I want to share with you first just a little bit about the solstice and allow us to really deepen into the magic and the power of this time of year that we're in. Okay, so today we'll look at that astrology of the solstice, astrology of the new year, and we'll also just look at the meaning of the solstice to get us started. So for those who may not know me yet, welcome to the Sacred Planet community. I'm Jocelyn Starfeather. I'm delighted to meet you. I am a visibility coach for visionary entrepreneurs, a spiritual alchemist, and astrologer, and I'm the founder of Sacred Planet. And my mission, truly, truly, with all my heart, is to guide you in breaking free from everything that has held you back in the past so that you can live your fullest life, so that you can navigate these rapidly changing times with joy and freedom. So you can learn more about my work at wearesacredplanet.com, WEARE, sacredplanet.com, and also on my YouTube channel, Sacred Planet on YouTube. So welcome. Now, I want to make sure everybody watching this, if you haven't already seen my recent video, The Astrology of 2025, 26, and 27, do go check that out after you watch this video. Once this recording is completed, I will link this video in the description field below, but you can just go and find it under the live tab on my YouTube channel anytime. This really sets the context for where we're heading and the radical new world that we are building together and what we can expect based on the planetary transits in these next 3 years. So I feel it's so important to always have our pulse on the cosmic energies and the energies of the divinity and the light streaming into us, which we can do through astrology and astronomy. So enjoy that, check it out. And even if you've already watched it, it's certainly worth watching again because there's so much encoded there in that recording. Okay, so what is the solstice? The solstice happens when the sun is at its furthest distance from the Earth's equator. It's either very far to the north or very far to the south of the equator. At this time of the year, and it will be exact this year, right around 4 a.m. New York time on December 21st, the sun will be at its southernmost point from the equator, which on the zodiac is 0 degrees of Capricorn. And so, because the sun is much further south, this is when the sun is furthest away from those of us in the northern hemisphere. So, this day is the winter solstice, shortest day, longest night for those in the northern hemisphere. And again, because the sun is so far to the south, it's the summer solstice for those in the southern hemisphere, longest day, shortest night. December 21st is also the time when the Earth's North Pole is most extremely inclined away from the sun, and the South Pole is most extremely inclined toward the sun. This tilt of the Earth on its axis is what causes us to experience the days and nights of changing length all throughout the year. And then the opposite side of the year from right now, June 21st, is when the sun will be at its northernmost point on the equator, 0 degrees of Cancer on the zodiac. Of course, that's the summer solstice for northern hemisphere and winter solstice for the southern hemisphere. It's important to note that the ancient people from every corner of our planet honored the winter solstice. And the winter solstice, especially, was honored in these great stone monuments. Now, people celebrated the summer solstice in their locations, wherever they were, but the winter solstice was particularly honored, and I'll explain why on the next slide. But here you can see on the left the Temple of Karnak in Egypt, where this central passageway and the Holy of Holies, which is in this chamber down here, exactly aligns with the rising sun on the winter solstice morning. And over here we have a Stonehenge, which also has this incredible astronomical alignment with the rising sun on the winter solstice. So this solstice sun alignment with the great ancient temples is happening at Stonehenge, at Newgrange, at Karnak, Chichen Itza in Mexico, Karnak in France and in Egypt, by the way, and many, many other sites all around the world. So we know that the ancient people held this as an immensely important time in the year. So why was this winter solstice so important? The reason is that it is a celebration of the victory of the sun, or the victory of light over darkness. So you can imagine this with particular intensity, if you think of the really far northern or the really far southern latitudes, where as we're in the wintertime and as the winter solstice is approaching, the days get so short that the sunlight may only be a few hours of the day, or the sun may barely even rise at all in the very furthest northern or furthest southern latitudes around the winter solstice. And so this was a time of great darkness. This was a time with very, very long nights, very, very short days, depending on where you are on the Earth. Of course, the closer you are to the equator, the more the day-night time frames are equal. And especially in these far northern or far southern latitudes, once the solstice has occurred, there's this huge shift on that solstice day. And we know that once the solstice occurs, we are now moving once again toward the light, toward the rebirth, toward the springtime. Because then the days will begin to get longer again, and the nights will begin to get shorter again, and it will not be so dark for very much longer. So this was a time of great celebration. And in Northern Europe, for example, the huge bonfires would be lit, or the Yule log would be lit to honor this return of the light and return of the sun. Homes were decorated with pine and pine cones as these beautiful pine trees stay green, representing resurrection and rebirth. They stay green all through the year. And people would feast and sing and give gifts and dance all night long, as well as dream practices. And I'm going to share with you an amazing dream practice that you can do at this time of year. And so these Nordic traditions of Yuletide are the source of many of our modern day celebrations of decorating a pine tree, giving gifts, celebrating the winter solstice, and celebrating many different holidays that all happen at this time of year aligned with the winter solstice. Such an interesting thing that the reindeer, actually the females are the ones that keep their antlers in the winter. And in some of these northern cultures, especially the northern shamanic cultures, traditions held that the reindeer mother was the one who flew up into the sky and brought back the sun. And it is in our stories of Santa that we tell our kids, right? It is the reindeer with their horns that are flying Santa's sleigh. Actually, that's the female reindeer. Isn't that so interesting? The male reindeer lose their antlers in the winter, and the female reindeer keep theirs. And so the female reindeer, the great mother, the reindeer mother, was seen as so powerful she could fly up in the sky and bring the sun back. So as we've said here, the ancient and indigenous peoples have always honored the solstices. And this goes way back, even long before the temples and the stone circles were built, long before the beginnings of recorded history. At the solstices, the veils are known to be particularly thin, and the light shines extra brightly through to us from the liminal realm. So there's this interesting thing where it may be very dark, the days may be very short, the nights may be very long, yet we feel such a bright light coming through at this time of year. It is a very holy, a very sacred time. And it's just amazing, and it's really beautiful that no matter how our different religions may disagree with each other, and we may have war on our planet right now, almost all of our major world religions and spiritual traditions come together in acknowledgement that this time of year is sacred. These are our high holy days in almost every religion around the world, right? This winter solstice time. So this is so powerful, right? And hopefully can help us to find some oneness, to find our unity, and to find how we are all the same, and we are all in this together. And I want to share just a little bit about the sun god and the sun goddesses, right? So we find in the mythology all around the world, universally, the return of the sun deity at the solstice time. Now, we have our sun, which we see every day, and it provides all the energy that is needed to power everything on Earth. Right. And then further out in the galaxies, we have the great central sun. We have stars and suns of many different sizes. And we have the great central sun, which is the original singularity that all of the galaxies spin around, that the light of all the other stars and suns come from this one in the center. So just as the great central sun provides all of the energy for the stars and galaxies to thrive, our star, the sun, provides all the energy that powers every living being on beautiful Mother Earth. And so the sun gods and goddesses around the world reflect this life-giving energy of the sun and its gifts to the earth and to humanity. So this is a huge part of what we're celebrating at this time. And we literally eat the sun, so we either eat plants that through photosynthesis took in the light of the sun to form their own physical bodies, which we then eat, or we eat animals that ate the plants. So whatever we eat, we're taking in the light of the sun, and then our body combusts that within every cell and within our digestion to create life within us. So our body heat, our own living cells, are powered by the fire of the sun within us. And of course, the ancient people knew this and understood this. So this turning back toward the sun at solstice is quite significant for us. We can read the mythologies and think, oh, well, that's nice. But really, at a deep inner psychic level and even a biological level, this is a shift. This is a massive shift within us. And also on the symbolic and celebratory levels as well, because we have always, all around the world, everybody has been celebrating this time, especially as a very high moment in the year. So this is why we find the sun god or the sun goddess in almost every religion and spiritual tradition. This is the one who brings back the light, or who is born or comes back to the people at solstice time, right? So we have Jesus or Yeshua. We have Mithra, who's in this picture here from Sumeria. We have Horus in the Egyptian. We have Amaterasu, the beautiful Japanese sun goddess. We have Aine, Apollo, Inti, Surya or Soraya. The list goes on. And these are always one of the most important beings in the mythological and the cosmological stories, because they're representing that life force that the sun delivers to us at every moment. So here is a depiction of Mithra. He is a very ancient Persian sun god. This is in current day ancient Iran, shining as brightly as the sun. See all those sun rays coming out. Isn't that so beautiful? Now, at this time, I want to share with you a really special dreaming practice, because if we follow our body's natural processes, if we are at winter solstice, so for those of us in the northern hemisphere, this is especially relevant right now, we will automatically want to sleep more, rest more, and be more quiet and inward at this time of year. And it's really important to gift that to ourselves, to let ourselves sleep longer, go to bed earlier, spend more time being quiet, maybe turn down the lights a little earlier in the house at night, right? Because this is what our body needs right now. It's like our version of hibernation. We don't have to go to sleep for months and months, but we need more quiet. We need more darkness naturally, biologically, for our health and our feeling of wholeness and calmness at this time. So the winter solstice is like the new moon in the lunar cycles. It is a time of pause and reflection, right? And so we see it all around us in nature at the winter solstice. Everything seems to die or go dormant for a little while. And that's really important because, and we're the same way, we need to take a rest for a little while so that we can spring forth with life again in the springtime, when there's more light, when there's more energy abounding. So when we surrender to this darkness, go to bed early, let ourselves be more restful, we can receive more dreams, we can revitalize ourselves, we can rejuvenate our hearts and minds. And this is what the entire earth is doing at this time, as blankets of snow are covering the ground, everything is sleeping. So let's explore a beautiful dreaming practice that we can do during these longer nights. Now, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I invite you to also do this dreaming practice, because this is a powerful time of year no matter where you are. But I understand in the Southern Hemisphere, your nights are shorter right now. So for us in the Northern Hemisphere, that might be easier to have more dreaming time right now. So this is an oracular solstice dreaming practice, the 12 days of Yule. And this was shared with me by my friend and colleague, Willemijn Maas, and I have a quote from here at the bottom. She says, "When we honor the dark, it's possible to receive insights from our unconscious mind. This can be in the form of visions, dreams, or insights. Dreams occurring during these dark 12 nights have divinatory powers and hold powerful messages about the coming year." So this is really cool. So I'm going to start on the second line here, and then I'll explain the first line in a minute. So you're going to start tracking, if you'd like to do this, tracking your dreams during the night of December 20th. And that also includes dreams that happen, early in the morning, December 21st. So this is starting the night before the solstice. Whatever you dream during that night before the solstice is an oracle for the month of January in the upcoming year. Then whatever you dream the next night, the night of the solstice into the next morning, is the oracle for February, and so on throughout the year until the final day of December. When you go to sleep that night, you will dream the oracle for December. This is a just mind-blowingly accurate practice and oracle for the new year. I've had the most incredible experiences, and Dr. Taria Ward and I have shared this now for a few years in our global dream group, the Dreaming Symposium. And the stories that we hear back from people, it is incredible how these oracle dreams come through and inform us about what's going to happen in the upcoming months and the upcoming year. And then we have found, Taria and I, through doing this for years now, that dreams during the night of December 19th, before all of this begins, are an oracle for the full upcoming year. So I really invite you all to track your dreams, set the intention to remember your dreams, and you'll be surprised. You'll probably remember more dreams during this time frame than you normally do throughout the year, especially because you're setting the intention, but also because these are the longest nights of the year. And so our body is more attuned to receiving those dreams. You can also, if you want to, do a little biological supplement. You can take vitamins B6 and B12 and iron. B6 and B12 and iron assist the part of your brain that helps with dream recall. And those are actually vitamins and minerals that we can be deficient in if we're vegan or vegetarian or don't eat a lot of meat. So those can really help if you don't remember your dreams. You can start taking those supplements. They're healthy for everybody, very, very safe, of course, natural elements we have in our body. And so you will have even greater dream recall. So I invite everybody to give this a try. It's really fun. It's really cool. And I do this with my kids now. You can do it with your kids or your grandkids. Ask them on these next mornings, did you have any dreams? Write them down and then see what happens for them in that month of the new year. Really, really cool. Okay, so we're going to move to the astrology in just a moment. I want to share with you this solstice gift, and I'll put this in the chat and I'll put this on the YouTube description field after we're done the recording. I want to give you this gift that you can take away from here about how to create your own winter solstice ritual. So it has all of these instructions, which key elements to include, how to let something go or welcome something new in at this time, and how to make your ritual simple yet inspiring and sacred. So I'm going to put this in the chat for you all. And then I'm going to go to the astrology. Let's see here, everyone. I'm going to try to put just the link in YouTube. Let me see if it will work. Hi, everybody on YouTube. I think it worked. Hopefully you can see that link I put over there. And welcome, Ariane in Cape Cod. Welcome, Margaret in Rehoboth Beach. Great to have you all here. Okay, so now we're going to go to the astrology charts. And this is very exciting. Let me close that window. Okay, so here's the astrology, and I will share my screen for the solstice. So the solstice is exact at 4:21 a.m. New York time this Saturday, December 21st. That will be 1:21 a.m. Pacific time. It will be 9:21 a.m. UK, 10:21 a.m. CET. So for many of us, it will be in the morning on Saturday. And so this is a very interesting chart. It's a very powerful chart. And I will show you exactly why. Now, just notice that the sun here is at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Capricorn. That's how we know it's the exact moment of solstice, because the sun has just crossed into Capricorn from Sagittarius. We want to keep in mind that all this week leading up to this time, I'll go back a couple days, all this week, if we go to today, for example, the sun is in the late degrees of Sagittarius, which means the sun is conjunct with the galactic center. And this also is a powerful, powerful time leading into the solstice. Now, the galactic center is an actual astronomical point out there in the galaxy. It's not just an astrology thing, it's an astronomy point. It is the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and it is the black hole that our entire Milky Way was birthed out of. So this is a very significant point in our skies. And that point is between 25 to 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So today, tomorrow, the next day, all these days leading up to that exact moment of solstice, we have the sun connecting with a part of our sky that our galaxy was birthed from, so this is helping us to connect with our origins. This is helping us to go down within into the galaxies of our own selves and ask, what are we birthing? What are we birthing from within with our vast powers that we hold? And it also is helping us to connect with our star families out there, which is very interesting with all the activity we're hearing in the news. And, here on the East Coast, we have all these drones. We don't know what they are. Possible extraterrestrial activity. Who knows? I spoke about that a lot in my 2025, 26, 27 forecast. So definitely check that out. This is a really just powerful time on so many levels. Now I'm going to go back to the solstice day, December 21st, because I want to show you the exact astrology of this day and this time. So at this time, whenever I'm pulling a chart that's of the moment, at a pinpoint moment in time, one of the first things I will look to is, where is the moon and what other planets is the moon connecting with? Because the moon moves pretty quickly. The moon moves through each zodiac sign every 2.5 days, and it takes, 28.5 days to go the whole way around. And so the moon will not stay in one place very long. So wherever the moon is on any given day, at any given moment, it's really highlighting something that we need to pay attention to. So let's see what's happening with the moon. Well, I can let you see this a little more clearly if I click on the moon here. You can see that the moon is opposite Saturn. The moon is at 13 degrees of Virgo. Saturn is at 13 degrees of Pisces. And they are both square to Jupiter, 14 degrees of Gemini, and Mercury at 8 degrees of Sagittarius. Mercury is a little bit off by degree, but still quite close enough to consider this a mutable grand cross. A grand cross is when we have literally a cross formed in the chart by 4 planets that are each at a square to one another. So this is a very, very powerful lineup for the solstice moment with a mutable grand cross. It's mutable because the 4 mutable signs, that being Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, each have one of the planets forming the cross. So mutable energy, first of all, let's talk about that. Mutable energy is evolutionary energy. The mutable signs, and if you have strong placements in any of the mutable signs, you hold this capacity within yourself. The mutable signs are what allows us to shift and to change direction fairly quickly, to accelerate our evolution, to be able to choose a new path and really decisively go on that path, even if it's a big change in direction from where we were going before. This is different than the fixed signs. The fixed signs like to keep things the same, keep things stable, not shake it up too much. The mutable signs are really good with changing, with shaking it up, with finding the new path and actually like pursuing that quite quickly. So that's part of the energy we're in here. And that is really important at this solstice moment. Now, you want to keep in mind, in our larger westernized society, we celebrate the new year on January 1st. But pretty much none, or 100% none of the ancient cultures celebrated the new year on January 1st. They all had much more significant and meaningful dates for their new years. For example, in ancient Egypt, the new year started at the heliacal rising of Sirius, which would be in late July or early August. And in many of the pagan traditions, the ancient European indigenous traditions, the new year started at Samhain, which is around our October 31st or November 1st, one of the cross-quarter holy days. So January 1st is a little arbitrary, and it's just based on our Roman calendar that we're using at this point in time. So I think in my opinion, this December 21st solstice date is actually a more valid New Year date, right? Really, in the grand scheme of things, in the collective of dates that we know hold great power when the veils are thin, when we can connect in with the higher intelligence. And so I think it's really important. We're going to look at January 1st because that is important for us in our modern world. But also, I think it's very important to look at this December 21st as more of a new year, more of a new beginning, right? Because this is the day that the sun begins to return to us. This is the day that we begin a new cycle of light, right? So, what is this chart? What does the astronomical, astrological, and cosmic alignment tell us about the upcoming year from this winter solstice to the next one? Well, with these planets all in mutable energy and in a grand cross with one another, this is drawing great attention to the energy of change and adaptability, flexibility, the importance of being able to move and navigate and make a new decision and make another new decision and not be holding on to anything fixed, not be holding on to anything that we thought it had to be this way or we really wanted it to be that way. And so we can't let go of it, right? Not holding on or clinging, not having expectations, really keeping our minds and our hearts open to what is meant to be and how we're being guided in our very rapid, at this time, evolutionary process. This mutable energy is a really important marker for us. Now, the Grand Cross aspect of this is also important to look at. So each of these planets is in a square to the next one: the moon, Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. They're all squaring one another. What is a square? What does a square indicate? Well, in astrology, a square indicates an opportunity that can feel challenging. So the square is always going to be an opportunity. It's always going to be a new door opening. But it's going to be, in the case of a square or a grand cross like this one, especially, an opportunity that feels outside of our comfort zone. An opportunity that feels like a stretch or like, oh, wow, I don't know if I can go there. That feels like a lot. That feels really intense. And so, this is the journey that we're being called on in this upcoming year. And as I look at this grand mutable cross and I think about the astrology report for 2025, they're just super aligned because really the big message here is a new world is being created at this time. A new world is being birthed through us. And we want to really be able to open our perception, to open our awareness, our consciousness to something that is far beyond what we have known or imagined so far. Because the old frameworks are not going to get us there to the new world that our hearts are longing for, as Charles Eisenstein so beautifully has said. The new world that our hearts are longing for. That new world lies outside of our comfort zones. That new world lies outside of our previous perceptions of what we thought was possible and available to us. So with all of this mutable energy, this huge configuration showing an opportunity that feels like a challenge, we want to really bring into our meditations at this solstice time, how can I be flexible in my day-to-day living? How can I be very open-hearted, very open-minded to how the world is changing around me and to how I am changing from within? Because we are naturally all going to be changing in sync with this rapid evolution of Mother Earth at this time. She is changing quickly because we all must. We cannot go on in these old ways anymore. The old ways are becoming so absurd. I mean, if you look around, right? If you look around the world, if you look at the political situations, if you look at the health and medical system situations, I mean, there's so many examples of where it's like insanity what we're being told by the authorities, what we're being told by the governments, the corporations, the figures in charge. I put in charge in air quotes because we're really in charge. All of us, the people, are really in charge. So this is about looking beyond what we've been told, what we've been taught all of our lives. This is about being flexible and adaptable and evolutionary and revolutionary and allowing those changes to move through us. And when we're not resisting, the changes are so exciting. The changes are so heart-opening and eye-opening when we can allow the new to come in beautiful ways into our lives. So that's the big invitation here from the planets on this solstice day. I will say, with the planets that are involved here, we have Jupiter bringing expansion, abundance, optimism. We have Mercury inviting us to speak our truth, to communicate clearly, to speak our voice, to be self-expressing what we know and hold to be true in highest integrity. We have Saturn direct now, and Mercury just recently turned direct as well. Saturn then calling us to build new structures in alignment. Saturn in Pisces here, building new structures in alignment with the multi-dimensions, in alignment with the realms beyond, not this, basis of reality that we've held up till now, really reaching into what is new and what is next. So this is what the moon is highlighting for us on this day. Very powerful. One more thing that I want to note is if I highlight the sun now, the sun being really the pivotal point of this entire chart, because the sun at 0 degrees, 0 minutes of Capricorn is marking the solstice moment. The sun here is also in square positions. The sun is square to the south node at 2 degrees of Libra and square to the north node at 2 degrees of Aries. How interesting is that? So the north and south node are the destiny points in the chart. The north node represents our future and the direction that our souls are pulling us toward in this lifetime. And collectively, for all of us as humanity, right, the collective direction of humanity at this time toward our new future. And the south node represents the past. Now, this includes the pain, the trauma, the karma, the woundings from the past that we're ready to release. So that's one big piece of what we do when the south node is having a big transit is we release things. But also, what are the parts of our past where we held power, where we held knowledge and wisdom, where we knew how to use our magic, where we knew how to build a new reality, right? We want to pull that wisdom and that knowledge forward from this south node place to create a new destiny, different from what happened in the past. So as the sun is squaring the north node and the south node, we're really called to think about what is that brilliant new future that we deeply desire, that our hearts are longing for. And this would be something amazing to journal on as well at the solstice time is, what is the new future I want to create in my life? And what is the new future I want to see in the world? Now, as we journal, as we write intentions, as we write our visions down, they are already becoming physical and real. So this is a very powerful practice at the solstice time. And that's part of what will be covered in my free gift that I mentioned, creating your own solstice ritual, is writing down what you want to create in the next year between this solstice and the next one. So the sun is calling us to really think about that. What is the past? What is the part of the past that we want to let go? And what are the parts of the past that we want to pull forward to inform and assist us now? And then on the other hand, what is the future? The true future, the high integrity future, the light-filled future that we are visioning. And when we all vision that together, it becomes fully real. So the sun is highlighting these destiny points today. Okay, so those are the major points I wanted to make about this solstice astrology. And let's next look at January 1st. So January 1st, 2025 is also a super powerful day astrologically. So we will have on that day, and I put 8 a.m. here specifically because I wanted to show the alignment of the moon and Pluto on this day, rather than making it midnight, which we could do. But most of the moon is the only thing that's really moving significantly between midnight and 8 a.m. And it seemed really significant to me to point out that this day the moon will come to conjunct Pluto. So we'll talk about that. And that's why I have the chart set at 8 a.m. rather than midnight. So on this day, we have the sun at 11 degrees, 21 minutes of Capricorn. It has moved forward since that 0 point, of course, of the solstice day. And so really the headline transit here is what's going on with Pluto. So on this day, this is super powerful. We have Pluto conjunct the moon, and both of them opposite to Mars. Now, if you've been paying attention to the astrology reports recently, you know that this Pluto opposing Mars is a really big transit that's ongoing for several months. It started toward the end of October and will be going all the way through, I believe, either April or May of 2025, because Mars already came through this area of the chart going direct. He got to 6 degrees of Leo, turned backwards, turned retrograde, and here he is again. So he already came into this opposition with Pluto in late October, early November. Now he's moving backwards and he's having the second of 3 oppositions with Pluto. So let's talk about Pluto-Mars opposition and what does this mean for us? Now, to have this conversation fully, we need to recognize that the planets, as we are often taught them in Western astrology, sometimes get a bad rap. Certain planets, okay? We have these certain planets that are called malefics. Again, I'm using air quotes. And I really have an issue with that. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that. The planets that are particularly called malefics are Mars and Saturn. And let's talk about Mars primarily here in this conversation. So Mars has become, over the millennia, very associated with war, with violence, with basically the negative and distorted aspects of the masculine. And this is related to confrontation, aggression, really, taking things too far in a violent way. And so, in what I have found in researching the ancient Sanskrit perceptions of Mars, and also in researching what Mars represented for the ancient Egyptians and other cultures, Mars was not always seen in this light of bringing war and violence. The original perception of the planet Mars was actually about the sacred masculine, not the distorted masculine. So every planet has their light side and shadow side, okay? Every planet can, manifest in positive ways and in more difficult ways. So it's not that we're going to ignore the distorted masculine aspects of Mars, because of course he does carry that shadow. But the primary focus of Mars, and we can look at any of the planets, they each want to help us. These are highly intelligent cosmic beings out there in the galaxy that have a relationship with Earth, that have a relationship with all life on Earth, and that are wanting to assist and support us in certain ways. So the way that Mars wishes to support us is he wants to help us connect with the sacred masculine within us and the sacred masculine in the world around us. And he wants to help us do things that the sacred masculine holds as its essential role and responsibility. So this includes protecting the feminine. This includes creating structure around what the feminine brings through in her dreams and her visions. And this includes taking action and making things happen in the world, building things, creating things, but always informed by the dreams and the vision of the feminine principle, which is the creative principle, the birthing principle. And Mars is, as the sacred feminine, always in relationship to Venus. Okay. The sacred masculine is always in relationship with the sacred feminine. We see these distorted versions of Mars where he's just on the warpath, you know. He's just like the gladiator with the weapons, and that's his main focus. This is not true, and this could never be true. And in fact, in my meditations, how Mars often shows up for me is with is in the image almost like Archangel Michael. Very interesting, like this very glowing, beautiful, sacred masculine presence carrying the sword. And this is what's so important to understand and realize about Mars is not trying to kill us with his sword. Mars holds the sword to cut through the illusions and reveal the truth and bring the truth fully into being for us. So I hope this reframe will be really valuable for you as you approach these Mars and Pluto oppositions that we're experiencing, you know, from late October all the way through May 2025. So when we look at Mars in this new way, or actually very old and ancient way, right? Recognizing that Mars is the sacred masculine, what he wants for us is he wants to help us take action in high integrity ways in our lives. He wants to help us move forward with our projects. He wants to help us create and bring things into being. He wants to help us stand in our power, our sovereignty, our boldness, our courage. He wants to help us take up our own sword and become a warrior for truth, a warrior of light. So when Mars is opposing Pluto, let's talk about that. Now, Pluto also gets a bad rap. Okay. If you look at the Greek mythology, you know, there's not a very good relationship between the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. If you look at the Greek mythology, where many of these figures as we think of them today came from, the men were taking advantage of the women, like always, right? So then in the Greek mythology, Pluto, we have Hades, right? We have Hades, and we have a very negative perception of that archetype. What if we instead, for Pluto, look to the Egyptian sacred masculine figure of Osiris, the husband of Isis? Now, Osiris too is a warrior for truth. Osiris goes through these very intense initiations of death and rebirth again. But it is necessary for him to go through these initiations to rise into his full and true purpose as the Lord, the king of the Duat. Now, the Duat for the ancient Egyptians is not the underworld that we have in the Greek mythology. It's not below the earth. The Duat is up there in the sky. The Duat is focused around the northern stars, including the Big Dipper, and also in the region of the sky where the constellation Orion is found, and the star Sirius. Orion is Osiris, Sirius is Isis. So Pluto then, Pluto in the ancient sense represents the part of ourselves that needs to go through initiations, that needs to go through death and rebirth journeys in order to come into our own true and deep power. And this is what Pluto is really about, power. Because once Osiris goes through those initiations, he rises into the sky. He becomes one with the stars, and he becomes able to help all of us in our initiatory journeys and lead and guide us in them. Okay, so with those reframes, now what do we have going on here with Mars opposing Pluto, highlighted by the moon? Very important on this day. Okay, so we have Mars, the warrior for light, the warrior for truth, the one who is cutting through the illusions. We have Pluto, who holds this initiatory passage. Pluto, who holds that power that is hidden deep within us. So really, the call at this time, as we experience during these months, 3 Mars and Pluto oppositions, one of them being exact on January 1st, is to cut through the illusions of what we've been told in our lives, to look deep within and find the power that is hidden within us. and to bring that power out into the light, to bring that power out in our self-expression, to bring that power out in the words that we speak, to come from our highest integrity, as Isis and Osiris always do in the Egyptian mythology, because integrity and natural order and cosmic law are such a high value in the Egyptian mythologies, right? To come from that deep, deep place of high integrity and power within ourselves in the decisions that we're making in the world. And Mars is going to help us take action on our high integrity principles. Mars is going to help us take action on what we know we need to change in our lives, on what we know we need to change in the world. And this is very much about uncovering the hidden truths, because Mars is helping us cut through illusion. Pluto is helping us reach down in and pull those truths up to the light, up to the surface. And so that is something that we're going to be seeing a lot in the world in 2025, in the upcoming year, because the first day of the year, as well as that solstice day, it is like an oracle for the year ahead. Okay. So that's why we're especially looking at these charts today. So in the world, we're going to see disclosure of many different things. We're going to see hidden truths. We're going to see hidden, lies and illusions coming into the light and being revealed for what they really are. Lies and illusions from our leaders, the government, the medical system, the educational system, many different systems in our world. And this is part of the crumbling and the breakdown of those systems. And so Mars and Pluto are going to help us cut through those lies and illusions. There may be continued, initiatory journeys within each of our lives when we need it most. And this New Year's Day, especially with Pluto playing such an essential role, Pluto being highlighted by the moon, Pluto in exact opposition with Mars. This is really a day to look back and honor the initiatory times in your own life, the dark night of the soul moments, the times when maybe it seemed all was lost, and then yet you rose again. And to really honor the strength, the character, the integrity that you gained by going through that passage, by going through that initiation. And this is part of the deep, deep truths that Pluto, Osiris, and even Hades, in Hades' original and true form, hold, is that when we go through these dark nights of the soul, we are transformed. We are alchemized. We emerge as a completely new version of ourselves. And then we have a new capacity. We have new abilities. We have a new remembrance of who we truly are. So you could really do well on this day to journal on those initiations, those dark nights of the soul, or initiatory passages in your own life. And how did it change you? And how did you come out even stronger afterward? And reflecting on the fact that that's what our world is going through right now. And that's what so many of us are going through right now, collectively too, in our world and individually as well, is this passage through the darkness, knowing that as we come out of this and as we are even navigating through it, we are becoming stronger and stronger. Our capacity is increasing. Our remembrance of truth and integrity is increasing, because all of this is contributing to the new world that we are building together. One other really important thing to note about this chart right here is Pluto and Mars and the moon are in favorable aspect to the south node, now at 0 degrees of Libra, and the north node, now at 0 degrees of Aries. Now, these are really important points in the chart, 0 degrees of Aries and 0 degrees of Libra. These are the points where when the sun reaches here, we turn to the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, and the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere, or opposite that, when in the southern hemisphere, 0 Aries would be the fall equinox and 0 Libra would be the spring equinox. Anyway, these are the equinox points. How interesting that the nodes, the points of destiny, the past and future in the chart are at the equinox points here, so soon after the solstice moment. So this is really powerful, and it represents a new beginning. It represents shifting into a new season in harmonic alignment with Mars and Pluto and the moon, because Mars is trine and sextile to the nodes. Sorry, Mars also, and Pluto is trine and sextile to the nodes. Mars is trine and sextile to the nodes. Trines and sextiles are favorable, harmonic. It means that these points and planets are all working favorably together for our collective future. The North Node here at 0 degrees of Aries. So this is a very super powerful new year chart as well. So we've got that powerful solstice chart, powerful New Year's Day chart. This is an incredible year we're moving into. And so we want to remember, and I invite you to come back and listen again to the astrology, because it's like a kind of a channeling flow that I move into. And I couldn't even tell you everything that I just said in detail again as a recap. But we want to remember a few points really important are the mutable energy of the solstice day and how we're called to allow the transformation to move through us, not cling to the old. And then here in this chart, especially honoring our initiations, knowing that the dark nights of the soul get us to a stronger and better and more light-filled place, and allow your hidden power within to rise up and be expressed from you. That's my little mini summary. So I hope this has been really helpful and powerful for you as you are navigating through these days. And I have something to share with you all. Well, let me just first of all ask you, how does that move you? How does that move you? Please tell me in the chat in Zoom and in the chat on YouTube. What is speaking to you from what I said? Where does this, bring something up for you in your own life, what you're moving through, what you're hoping for in the new year? I would love to know. Let's see. John says, I've already been navigating the mutable for a few months with personal planets. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, John, for that share. And yes, Pluto is at 1 degree in the age of Aquarius. Yeah. Yes, that is really important as well. We are fully moving into the age of Aquarius because Pluto is not going back into Capricorn anymore. Pluto is now going to be fully in Aquarius for the next 20 years, okay, until 2043, 2044, when he'll be making his transition into Pisces. Melanie says, thank you so much, Jocelyn, through the tunnel into the light. Yes. And Mary says, wow, amazing. I'm hosting a solstice celebration this Friday evening, and I will incorporate much of what you shared. Yes, wonderful. Love to hear that. People need this information. Anne says, I'm hoping for a reconciliation with my son. Blessings to you, Anne. Yes, may this be a new beginning for you and your son. Sending you lots of love and light around that. Diane says, that helped me see Saturn as my ally. He's been on my rising sign this year. Thank you. Also with Mars. Yeah, we really need to reframe these, quote, malefic planets. It's not accurate. Okay, wonderful. Jane says, thank you, Jocelyn. This is very clear, giving me ideas for 2025. I appreciate your bringing new understanding, RE, Pluto, and Mars. Yes. Ellie says, thank you, Jocelyn. This has been powerful. The reminder of the importance and nourishment of dark nights of the soul. Yes, super helpful. Yes. Let me just see what people are saying on YouTube. Michelle says, I natally have galactic center conjunct my Mercury. Powerful. So you're meant to be communicating with your star families, Michelle. And Sun. Wow. 1 degree, second house. Embracing the destiny points and powerful dance with many other planets. And Rosemary says, what you said about renewal and rebirth makes me feel much better. I feel like I'm in the dark night of the soul. Yeah, so for those who are listening and are in the dark night of the soul right now, first of all, know that you are in deep alignment with the energies, the seasonal energies at this time, because we are meant to be, in a sense, going into the cave, right? Going into the underworld, going deep within ourselves at this time. So allow yourself to lean into it rather than fighting it. when we fight the dark night of the soul, we end up having to stay there longer. Okay. But when we embrace it, when we lean into it, when we let ourselves take time away from our normal life and ask your guides, ask the planets, what am I meant to be learning from this? How can I make the transformation even more quickly and move out of the dark night of the soul and into the light again sooner? Right? What is it I need to learn? What is it I need to understand anew? What are the capacities you're waking up in me now through this process? Asking your guides and the planets these questions can bring you so much clarity around what's really happening, right? Whether it's a health thing or an emotional thing or a life change or the ending of a relationship or a career, whatever the dark night of the soul is, when we ask these questions, we get this higher view, especially when we ask the planets, we get the big picture view that can help us understand it in a very different way than when we're just trying to navigate it in the 3D. So I hope that might be helpful to you, Rosemary. Really check in with your guides, check in with the planets, see what they have to say to you. Yes, and Jean-Pierre says, thank you, Jocelyn. Very important to say that the masculine has, as anything else does, two sides and is not only negative. Yes, of course, absolutely. So important. Okay, so let me share one more thing with you today. I want to share with you a beautiful invitation, and let me just get this ready here on the screen. Let's see. Oh, I closed my window. Give me one moment and I will bring it up because so if you're interested in the astrology and in learning more about your own birth chart, I have a really special class that I have taught before that was super popular when I have taught it previous times. And I want to bring it back now because I think it's just so relevant for us as we're moving into this powerful time. Here it is. I had it on this other screen. There we go. As we're moving into this powerful time to really understand how are the stars and planets working with you specifically? What are you being called to learn? What are you being called to shift? And what are the huge opportunities that you're going to be able to lean into during this time? So let me put this link in the chat. You're also welcome to check this out at your own pace. But this course is starting on January 6th, and it is called Use Your Astrological Birth Chart to Unlock Your Magnificent Opportunities in 2025, 2026, 2027, and beyond. And I am super excited to be teaching this again. It just received incredible reviews the couple of times that I have guided people through it before. And I'm going to be teaching more astrology classes in 2025. I'm going to be teaching later on a class on the benefics and a class on the so-called malefics, okay, which we know, as we know from what we talked about today, are not really negative planets at all and are trying to support us. But this is the first class, and this is the foundation that will allow you to be able to fully receive from the other ones that are coming up. So this is important to me to offer this one first. So let me share a little bit more about why I'm offering this class right now. So astrologically, and as I shared in my 2025, 26, 27 forecast, we are in a time of massive opportunity. There are just incredibly positive transits coming up in these next 3 years. And in particular, there are certain timeframes in the next 3 years that are going to be mega opportunities based on where these certain transits fall in your birth chart. And so these are moments, I call them cosmic timelines. These are moments when you can truly shift your identity or begin a fortuitous new era of your life or welcome in huge amounts of abundance or many other possibilities. And really, we have to look at it and read it based on how it is connecting with your chart. right? So for example, we have a transit that is the North Node conjunct Saturn and Venus at 26 degrees of Pisces that's happening in April. That's when we'll be in Egypt because that's such a powerful time. But we would want to look at that in your specific chart and say, how is this working with your planets, with your sun, with your moon, with your Mercury? And what does it mean for you? So this course is designed to teach you how to look and see these cosmic timelines in your chart. Now, also in this class, I'm going to be guiding you to identify your galactic superpower. Now, these are fun words, so let me tell you what that means. The galactic superpower is this part of your power that you hold innately that helps you to be a leader or a light worker or a change maker, or let's just say what you came here in this lifetime to do, but maybe you've been missing it for some reason, right? Maybe you haven't been able to fully manifest it because you didn't really understand how this plan was set up for you. Where I'm going to help you in this class to decode that plan and really identify and fully describe and delineate your galactic superpowers so you know all that you're capable of. Right. So then this leads you to actually be able to live as this highest level, fully activated magnetic version of yourself once you fully integrate what you learn in this class and you realize, wow, yes, these are my gifts. These are my strengths. These are my opportunities. And then the cosmic timelines are when the transits line up perfectly with your chart so that you can bring these opportunities, these gifts out into the world in an amazing way. Now, I've been working with astrology this way for many years, and the way that my life has changed as a result of seeing the stars and planets this way and understanding how they are very purposefully interacting with me in my chart. They're similarly interacting with you in ways that are unique and perfect for you. This has helped me to bring my work out to the world and be confident and be clear about what I'm really here for in a whole new way. So this is an amazing invitation to come on in and learn astrology that is really what I call alchemical astrology. Alchemical astrology is about our transformation. It is about our mission and purpose. And it is about connecting with the way that the ancient people used astrology. Very different from how in our modern westernized culture, like, for example, seeing Mars and Pluto as negative planets, like, that's just insane. They're not. They're here to help us in their very specific way, right? So this is really turning a lot of what you might have been taught in Western astrology a bit on its head or on its side, because we're going to look at it as the ancient people did. And I've studied Hellenistic astrology. I've studied the Egyptian deacons. I've studied these ancient ways that they saw the stars. It's very different from what we're being taught today. So I want to bring all of this to you in this amazing class. So you can come here and read this page. I'm not going to read every detail now. I'm going to get down to the curriculum. You can read testimonials for people who have worked with me so you can understand how I have served and helped so many others before. So here's a little bit about the details of the class. We will meet for 5 powerful live class sessions on Zoom from January 6th to March 3rd. I'll give you the dates and times in just a minute. And every class, we will have deeply transformational astrology teachings in which you'll learn how to decode in your own chart your galactic superpowers, right? The fully activated version of yourself that you're meant to become in this lifetime. Secondly, your cosmic timelines in the next 3 years, pivotal timeframes that are mega opportunities specifically for you to create abundance and success. And then third, we will decode, and you will learn how to decode in your own chart, the multidimensional divine plan for your lifetime, what you were created and incarnated to do, become, and create on the earth at this pivotal time. And you will see and you will learn how to understand precisely where in your birth chart these aspects are located. Then in week 4, that will be on February 11th, we'll have this really special workshop where I will guide you to create your 3-year multidimensional action plan. So this will give you clarity on what to do and when to do it during 2025, 26, and 27, based on when these very specific transits, including the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in February 2026, including the eclipses over the next 3 years, and so on, exactly how those impact your chart and when. And then the final class, week 5 on March 3rd, will be an open Q&A. And I really wanted to have this space for the open Q&A because you've taken a lot of information during the class. You're practicing with your birth chart. I'm going to send everybody your PDF birth chart with all the planets and all the asteroids we'll be talking about in the class as soon as you register. And so I want you to have this, really big space to ask me anything. Now that you've been studying it, what questions are coming up for you? So you can write down, you can ask me questions during the live class sessions too, but we'll have a lot of time in this open Q&A so that I can provide clarity and help you really break through in your understanding of your chart. And you will emerge from this class with an action plan for building your life and your business, if that's something you want to do, that is stunningly aligned with your life purpose, your multidimensional divine plan, and that also has the timing points of when the transits are especially relevant for you, and those are your times to take action. So let's look at the class structure. Now, each of these classes will be at 12 noon New York time. All of them will be recorded. So if there are any that you can't attend, don't worry. You will be able to receive the recording and watch it through recordings instead. The live Q&A will be the very most important one. If you can possibly schedule ahead of time to be available for that one, I would love for you to have the chance to ask me any questions you have. That will be the 5th and final class. So in this first class, we're going to talk about claiming your galactic superpowers. We're going to talk about the alchemy and the science of identity shift, which is a really important foundation for all of this. And then we're going to look at how you can find the galactic superpowers in your chart. And I have a really, actually very easy way for you to find them that I will unveil in this class so you can look and see, wow, this is who I really am. These are the powers, the superpowers that I really have. Right. And this will be really beautiful. And in almost every class, we have a beautiful shamanic journey at the end to help bring it all together, to help you really integrate it and understand it at another multidimensional level. Then on class 2, this will be January 21st at 12 noon New York time. We'll talk about the cosmic timeline. So these are the transits. These are how the planets are actually moving in the sky now at this time in 2025, 26, 27. And how does that interact with your birth chart, which is the snapshot of the moment you were born? So we'll talk about that North Node, Saturn, Venus conjunction in April 2025. We'll talk about Saturn, Neptune conjunction in February 2026. Pluto in Aquarius, then there's more than just what's here, but these are some ideas of what we'll cover: the eclipses and the individual transits to your own sun, moon, ascendant, and so on, coming into contact with particular beneficial transiting planets, which are really essential for you to know. So I'm going to walk you through a very beautiful system of how to understand all this and how to find them in time, okay, in space and time. And we'll have time in this class for personalized coaching where you can raise your hand. We'll look at your chart, and that's something we'll be doing all throughout the class too. Every live class session, I'll have time to look at maybe 2 or 3 of your charts and give you my specific reading on what what is there for you based on what we're learning that day. Class 3, February 3rd at 12 noon, New York time. Activate your multidimensional divine plan, your pivotal and sacred role in the world. So we're going to look at really how to discern your sacred and unique plan as it is written in the divine blueprint of your chart. We're going to talk about why does astrology work so accurately, because it's really just fascinating when you get to this level and you hear what are the components of your blueprint, your plan, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like so accurate, and it's even next level things I didn't even know yet, but yes, I feel it to be true. Right? And then when we put this into action, when we say, okay, I know now this is a quality, this is a gift I have, Let me just test it out with a friend or a family member and see what I receive back, right? Because we want to get proof of the magic. We want to get proof of and confirmations of what you're learning here in the class coming into you in a very real way in your life. So I'll guide you in how to do that. And we'll have a shamanic journey through the star portals to begin building out the rest of your life in alignment with your divine plan. Then in class 4 on February 11th, we're going to really bring all of this together, everything we've looked at so far, and you'll begin drawing out or painting or however you want to do it, a chart of your cosmic timelines, these time frames that you have to take a big leap ahead or really create success and abundance in your life in a new way. So this is your 3-year multi-dimensional action plan. And this is the main thing that that's really concrete that you'll be taking away from the class is basically a roadmap for the next 3 years, specifically based on your chart and how the transits are working with you. So we'll have a shamanic journey into the multi-dimensions to help you get even more confirmation around what is your highest path in this lifetime and how you are stepping into that now. Because once you have this information, it changes everything. It gives you such clarity. It gives you such confidence that you don't have to wonder. You don't have to question so much. You know, and this is like good, really good Mars, right? How do I just move forward with decisive action? Coming out of this class, you'll be able to do that. You'll know what the actions are, and you'll know when is the most opportune time to take those actions. So it's very powerful in that way. Then this is the 5th class, March 3rd at 12 noon New York time. You can ask me anything that we've covered in this course. So now that you've studied it in depth, you're going to have some questions. I want to really provide clarity to you. I'll do a lot of chart readings as examples in this Q&A. So you can also request a chart reading, which will be short. You know, when I'm doing chart readings in the group, it's like 5 to 7 minutes. It's not like a 1-hour reading or anything, but it will give you a lot of information in a short period of time. And then we'll have a beautiful closing shamanic journey and a little closing ceremony really for the class to just help you fully integrate and deepen into everything you've learned here. So you can see this is going to be an amazing adventure. And so the investment here, when I have run this class before, I have charged a higher price for it than I am charging now. The number that felt right to me, while I know it's fully worth $33.33, the number that really felt right for me this time around is $888. So this is such a valuable class. There's so much astrological and astronomical as well knowledge that I am sharing in this class. So this is an incredibly low price. When I've sold this class before, I've always sold it for $15.55. But I really felt called to do even about half of that. So $888 is the price now, as long as you register by December 23rd. And we will begin the class on January 6th, but the registration will close December 23rd because after that, we all just need to enjoy the holidays until we get started again in the new year. So I do have an installment plan option here. You can either click here to pay in full for $888, which you do save some money that way over the installment plan, or you can click here to do 3 payments of $333 if that works better for your finances. So just keep in mind the price is going up to the $22.22 starting on December 24th. So you don't want to miss this chance. Be sure to join by the end of the day, Monday, December 23rd at the latest. Now, a lot of people, when they've taken this class, have said, can I also get just a one-on-one reading with you? So I wanted to offer that option. If you would like to add on a 60-minute one-on-one alchemical astrology reading with me, and I don't usually do astrology readings, all of you who have been following me for a while, you know, I just can't do that. So many people need astrology readings. And so the amazing Cynthia does most of the astrology readings now. But for those who are in this class, I do want to open up a few spaces on my calendar if you feel really called to have a 60-minute one-on-one alchemical astrology reading with me. We will cover the points that we're covering in the class so that you can learn it in this incredibly in-depth way during our reading. Okay. So if you want to buy the full 5-module course plus a 60-minute one-on-one reading with me, that would be one payment of $1111, or 3 payments of $399, whichever you prefer. And that offer completely goes away after Monday, December 23rd. So I want to take a moment then and answer any questions that you all may have. Again, come back, read this page if you would like. Here are the results you can expect to receive during this class. And there's even more as you go down. But let me just look in the chat. Does anybody have questions or anything that you would like to share before we close for today? I'm just checking the YouTube chat as well. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Barb, for these beautiful comments in the YouTube chat. I appreciate it. Maggie, yeah, great question. So the class sessions will be 90 to 120 minutes. What has happened when I taught this class before is that we, people really enjoy the little mini chart readings. So usually I'll end up doing a few more of those and we go to 2 hours, but the main content will be probably in the first 60 minutes, maybe 75 minutes. And after that, we'll go to Q&A and coaching and that sort of thing. So anyway, 90 to 120 minutes long for each class session. Okay, Connie says, thank you, Jocelyn. Your sharing is so incredibly helpful and timely. Total surrender into total darkness brings, and even more so as we approach the solstice. Diving deep and surrendering to this moment brings many gifts. These are the most powerful moments of my remembered existence. Blessings to all on the journey. Thank you, Connie. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing these powerful words. Leo is asking, can you share with us what your mission in this lifetime is? Yeah. So if I'm looking at it from my astrological chart and from the way that I teach it in the class, I will share that with my North Node in Virgo, I'm here to bring the sacred back into the world. And with my sun in Leo, I'm here to communicate that in a very visible and global way. And for me, the moon in Scorpio is important. Now, this will be a little different in everybody's charts. For some of us, we may or may not look to the moon for your purpose. In my case, it's really important. My moon in Scorpio is helping me uncover and heal the fears and the lies and the illusions, both within myself and in our world. So that gives you an idea of it. Thank you for asking that question. I appreciate the question. But yeah, at the center and core of what I'm here to do is to bring the sacredness of life back into our remembrance and into the world. And I know there are so many others on that mission with me, but for this lifetime, that is the core. So yes. And thank you, Peewit, here for saying gratitude. Thank you, Jocelyn. I appreciate you. And namaste to all. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, thank you so much, dear Leo. I appreciate that. And Rama says, I took this class a few years ago and it really helped me chart my future work and solidify the gifts I have and am to share in this lifetime. Amazing, Rama. I'm so glad that it was of service for you and helpful for you. And thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Yeah, beautiful. Well, I think we can close then for today. I just want to thank you all so much for being on live with me, those who are here right now, yay. And thank you also to those who are going to be watching this later as a recording. Definitely, if you're watching it as a recording, write in the comments, how do you feel about all this, the astrology, the class that I'm sharing, everything here, what is moving for you? I would love to hear. And I hope that those who are feeling called will sign up, come and join me. It's going to be so amazing. It's going to be such a powerful class that we'll share from January 6th to March 3rd. So for those who feel called to it, can't wait to see you there. And blessed solstice to all of you. So much love and light to all of you as we celebrate this solstice time and as we begin our new calendar year. Definitely sometime between the solstice and January 1st, write down your intentions for the new year. It is such a powerful practice. It's so important to make our intentions real, to begin bringing our dreams and visions into reality by writing them down. And if you feel called to it, you can have a fire ceremony and burn your intentions in the fire so that they go up to the divine. And that's a really powerful practice that you can do. So let me put the link to the free gift in the chat one more time here on Zoom. And of course, this will be in the description field later for the YouTube video, in case you would like to have that solstice gift, how to create your own winter solstice ritual. All right. Well, so much love to all of you. I'll see you again soon. Mwah. Much love. Many blessings.